Lesson 12. We're going to make the switch now from asana to, or from the physical to the mental. We're going to prepare for energy control. Many courses in yoga, professional courses in yoga, they teach physical anatomy. In fact, it is one of the biggest subjects of the modern yoga courses. It's about muscles, about joints, about bones, etc. However, if you open any traditional yoga book, you will find no such thing. There is no physical anatomy in yoga. For the same reason that, no, let me say it differently. In Oriental medicine is based on the idea that if the energy is good, the body automatically will be good too. Yoga is the same. If your energy is good, you don't have to worry about your body. So there is no physical anatomy. We call it subtle anatomy. The anatomy of the energy household. And when you practice yoga correctly, you take care of the energy household. You generate more energy, but not just energy. You generate energy that is more harmonious, of a better quality. You develop what is called in Korean language ki energy. In Chinese it's called chi energy. In Sanskrit it's called prana. Prana is vital energy, not just energy, vital energy. Vital energy is what many people are lacking. Vital energy is responsible for the wonderful developments that yoga is promising. Most important among these are the promises of awakening consciousness. So, we're going to have a look at the energy household, subtle anatomy of yoga. According to yoga philosophy, you are not one body, but you are various bodies. You have the physical, the mental, and the spiritual body. But those are then subdivided again. The physical body exists out of 5 energy bodies. The mental body is one body in itself, and the spiritual body is one body in itself. These 7 bodies we call chakras. We have Muladhara chakra at the bottom, Svadhisthana chakra at the level of the bladder, Manipura, Anahata, which is the heart chakra, Vishuddha, the throat, Ajna chakra, the head, and the crown chakra, which is outside the confines of the physical body. Are chakras real? Are chakras real? Yes, they are. But they are energy fields. They are concentrations of energy. So if you go to a surgeon and you ask the surgeon to cut open your body, you say, "Oh doctor, I have a pain in my Manipura chakra, please take it out." He can't find anything there. He can cut you open, but he cannot find anything there. But with modern technology, the chakras can be made visible. With technology that can make energy fields visible. Practically, the chakras, the head is like a mainframe computer. It controls all your functions. So, to control those functions, signals, pulses are issued from the brain to other levels of the body. And you can compare it very much with a computer. Your nerves are the internet cable. The brain gives data through the nerves. So the nerves is indeed a cable that runs through the spine. The spine not only keeps you in your physical shape, but the spine is very important in protecting your nerve system. If the nerve system is damaged, you are in big trouble. The spine is very important, and you have only one, so you have to be careful with it. So from the brain comes a main cable that goes down at the level of the throat through a hole in the vertebra. A small sub-cable separates from the main cable to take care of certain functions that is related to the throat chakra. Your speech, hearing, swallowing are functions. So the main cable continues to go down. At the level of the heart, small hole in the vertebra on that level, a small sub-cable comes out from the main cable to take care of the functions there at the level of the heart. The heartbeat, the lung function, and what have you. So each of the chakras is in fact a field of energy that is the result of a bunch of nerves coming out at that location, that particular location. So they are real. Just you cannot touch them or take them out, but they are fields of energy. Now, I've explained before that energy, if uncontrolled and unconditioned, in the whole of the universe and also within ourselves, energy has a tendency to condense. The energy condenses, becomes gas, which then condenses, becomes liquid, which then condenses and becomes solid matter. It's no different in a human being. Your energy is your soul. That is your origin. That energy started to condense, and it forms your plasma, your blood, your muscles, your fat tissue, etc. So your physical body is the end product of the process of condensation. The ancient seers, the ancient yogis, very cleverly understood what was happening here. Below the diaphragm, those three chakras, earth, water, fire, I mentioned them today. These chakras are the locations of lower emotions and desires. They are responsible for our survival, the survival of mankind. Because energy has a natural tendency to condense and manifest toward the bottom, people have a tendency to be centered on lower emotions and desires, which results in our daily struggle in life, our conflicts, internal and external conflicts, our misery that we perceive in daily life. So if left unchecked, if left unconditioned, life is a valley of tears, life is full of suffering, which is the whole idea of Buddhism. Now, there are people who believe this and they say, well, that is just the fact of life. That is how the universe works. So I just have to accept my misery. Yoga says, no, that's not how it works. Yes, misery is caused by this process, but we have a key. We have a solution. We have to make that energy rise away from earth, water and fire, away from your fears, desires, ambitions, ego, lower instincts, animal instincts. There you find the heart and the throat, which are also locations of emotions and desires, but we distinguish them. We call these emotions and desires higher emotions and desires. You find love, empathy, compassion, creativity in the throat, expression. There is expression in every language where people who are inconsiderate, cruel, mean, we say they have no heart. They are heartless. They literally are. They literally have no heart. There is a heart, a physical heart pumping in their body, but it's not about that heart. It's the heart of compassion, of empathy, of unconditional love that we mean by saying this person has no heart. Now, if you don't understand how this works, you just accept the fact that this person has no heart and will be cruel and mean and inconsiderate, selfish. We know, however, the ancient yogis knew that you are not lost. Even if you have no heart now, you can develop a heart, but you have to work for it. The physical body exists out of those 5 bodies, those 5 chakras, from the tailbone to the throat. The mental body is Ajna chakra, and then you have Sahasrara chakra, the spiritual body. Starting from next week, we will discuss all the chakras at length, one after the other. So we don't have to go deep into that. We will, in very detailed way, we will discuss all the chakras. The energy. Now let me first explain some more fundamentals. You know already about Shiva and Shakti. So here you have a model where we can make Shiva and Shakti visible. Shiva energy enters the body I don't know if I mentioned this in lesson 3, but it was in your handout. I think I mentioned it, but this one is called Chandrabindu. Chandra means moon. Bindu is a gate, entrance, exit. Chandrabindu, the moon gate. At the bottom, we have Suryabindu. Surya is the sun. That's the sun gate. Through the sun gate, Shakti energy enters into the body. Symbolically, it winds around the chakras. The reality is, of course, much more complicated. It exits through Chandrabindu. So this energy, I use red. That is Shakti energy. The channel through which that energy rises is called Pingala. Shakti energy goes from the bottom to the top through a channel called Pingala. Shakti energy cannot go down. So Shakti energy always goes from the bottom to the top. Shiva energy does the opposite, of course. Shiva energy enters through Chandrabindu and winds around the chakras clockwise, symbolically. And exits into the underworld through Suryabindu. So that is Shiva energy, and the channel is called Ida. Now, in your handout you have these illustrations. This illustration is from the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, the book you received the PDF file of. And there is another one, it's very similar. The small one is more detailed. It has the names that we have here also, the names of the chakras and the names of the channels. If I would draw a snake head on the left and the right side, would you recognize this? This is a symbol that is used all over the world. Where?
Medical.
Yes. Every ambulance, every hospital, they have a drawing that is exactly like this. It's called Aesculapus, the Latin word for this illustration for the medical profession. It's called Aesculapus. It's used all over the world. The ancient people from all over the world, not only from India, the yogis, but from all over the world, they had the same kind of vision, symbolically, of how the human body functions. But if you look at that drawing, you will see inevitably that there is not only Ida and Pingala, there is a third channel that runs through the middle. This channel is called Sushumnandi Nadi. Nadi is channel. Now it becomes interesting. Everybody possesses Ida and Pingala, but not everybody possesses Sushumnandi Nadi. Every person has a potential for Sushumnandi Nadi to manifest. Sushumnandi Nadi is important because that is the channel through which the energy rises that opens up the heart, the throat, the intellect, and the spiritual bodies, which otherwise remain dormant in the unconditioned, untrained person. So that brings us to the concept of Kundalini. Kundalini, symbolically, is a snake. A snake that sleeps. At the bottom of the spine. Is symbolism. The fact that the snake sleeps means it's not active. Kundalini is called latent energy. Latent energy means there is the potential for that energy to manifest, but it is latent, it's asleep, it's not manifesting until you do something special that awakens the snake, that awakens the Kundalini energy. If you practice yoga correctly, whatever form of yoga you do, it leads to the rising of energy through Sushumnandi Nadi. The snake awakens and starts to rise up. Now there are yoga classes that are called Kundalini yoga. But every yoga is Kundalini yoga. Just like every yoga is Tantra yoga, which I will explain later what that actually really is. Every yoga is Sattva yoga. Whatever label it has, if yoga does not awaken Kundalini, it's just not yoga. Every form of yoga, physical, mental, spiritual, it always leads to this effect. That is why it's so important that you do yoga correctly, like we discussed asana practice. Doing asana correctly already leads to this phenomenon, because I told you Sushumnandi Nadi, not everybody has. Everybody has a Ida and a Pingala, but not everybody has a manifesting Sushumnandi Nadi. But there is the potential. How do you activate Sushumnandi Nadi, leading to Kundalini to rise up, or vital energy to rise up? By bringing about Sattva. As long as there is disharmony, imbalance between the Shiva and the Shakti, as long as you fluctuate without coming to standstill, harmony, peace, there are so many words to describe that condition, Sushumna does not occur. That is why it is so important that you practice yoga, asana, standing still, and in silence. And with the concentration on every step that you take in your practice, which activates Ajna Chakra, so you can clearly hear nada as a result of that, which then starts to work like a draft horse. It starts to pull that energy up. Because energy is where your focus is. Energy is where your thought is. Energy follows thought. So if you concentrate in Ajna Chakra, which happens naturally when you stand still and nada appears, you practice mindfulness in silence, standing still, energy rises up. And it is simpler than you think. All you have to do is practice yoga correctly. If you practice yoga correctly, sattva occurs. Sattva leads to the phenomenon of the snake uncoiling itself and rising up through Sushumnandi Nadi, away from earth, water and fire, opening up the heart and the throat, activating the intellect, intelligence. In the past, long before books were printed, was not activated through what we now know as our education system. Intellect was cultivated through practices like yoga. And every culture, every continent has their own way of doing that. And if you look far enough, you will see that that is the origin of our established religions. Esoteric sciences. Do you need this? Why would you do all these troublesome things? Awaken Kundalini. Well, on a personal level, even though you studied a lot and are very intelligent, you will become more intelligent. But in a practical way. You develop vision. You develop insight into complex patterns. Wisdom, intuition, I've mentioned them, especially at the beginning of the course. All those higher characteristics or royal characteristics located in the crown chakra, they all manifest as a result of energy rising up, fueling that center. This means Everybody can develop wisdom, no matter how stupid we seem to be, how dumb we seem to be. Because if we are stupid, if we are dumb, it is because there is no energy here. But even dumb people have an Ajna chakra and a crown chakra. There is just no fuel there. It doesn't work. And that fuel is generated by doing something very special in a way. This is why yoga, as long as we move, is not yoga. It's nice as an exercise, but this just doesn't happen. And yoga is about this. Yoga is not about muscles and beautiful body and dieting and what have you. That's a nice side effect. We are all human, we all have vanity. So, nice. But this is what it's really about. This is the essence of what yoga really is about. It goes far, far beyond a beautiful body, our vanity. So remember that this phenomenon occurs as a result of Shakti and Shiva being in harmony, leading to sattva. So it's not about hard work, it's not about sweating a lot, it's about creating harmony. And yoga is only a small part of it. People who are at the top of the industry, people who are at the top of politics, leaders, kings and queens, presidents and what have you. What you don't see when you see them on TV is that all of those people have created their own kingdom. Or it is being created for them. And what do I mean by kingdom? Kingdom is an environment, either at home or in the office, or both, that is very peaceful, very stable. And all the people working around that person, the king or the queen or the president of a company, they all work to maintain that equilibrium. They all work to maintain that peace, that quiet, that calm, that stability. Because that is the condition in which those leaders are allowed to function in the crown chakra. They don't stand on their head, they don't do a triangle pose. They, with use of lots of money, create this condition. We only have our cushion and our mat, and we have to work. But those people are capable of making huge decisions involving billions of dollars, involving thousands of people who depend on them, and they make those decisions using vision. They're capable of seeing patterns that normal people don't see. And based on that, they can keep their company profitable. So this is not a luxury. This is not new age. This is not hippie kind of thing. This has very practical and deep implications for any person who practices yoga. It adds qualities to you that are useful for the rest of your life, not only for you, but for you and the people around you, your family, your colleagues, Even your neighbors benefit from your changing condition. They don't know it, but they do. That is why this is called Raja Yoga. Raja means king. This is the yoga taught to people to prepare them for kingdom, for kingship, for leadership. And everybody does that in their own way. I will never be a president of a company. I will never be a king of a country. But these qualities have allowed me to do what I do, have allowed me to survive where other people didn't, have allowed me to overcome difficulties, seemingly unovercomable difficulties. This has allowed me to develop the insights that I present to you to teach you. You will develop these qualities too if you stay on this path. And I repeat, this is not just about your exercise, your asana and your meditation. That is only a tool to start a process, to start a change, a transformation. But although you may not have as much money as a king or a president of a multinational company, you will create your own kingdom. You will create your own heaven at home in which you are allowed to be in a contemplative mood. And you will do this naturally. Remember, before we took a break, we talked about solitude. Solitude is part of that heaven that you create, simply based on a need. You don't always like it because your energy is not always there. That is one of the dilemmas that we are facing when we're on the spiritual path. Energy will no matter how much we meditate and practice asana, energy always fluctuates. There will always be lower emotions and desires, needs, instincts. But you now have a new dimension. You'll be able to function on a higher level as well, but not without going up and down. And when you function here, you're not bothered by those distractions that are related to lower emotions and desires. But the problem is you cannot only be here with your consciousness. It is a new dimension, but it's not permanent. It's very easy to be distracted and energy to fall down. That falling down of energy, this is very interesting. If you have ever studied religion, religion talks about heaven and hell. It talks about Adam and Eve falling from paradise. If it's not about Adam and Eve are at the basis of Christianity, but all religions have an equivalent to Adam and Eve. Shiva and Shakti. In yoga, Hinduism. Adam and Eve are not a man and a woman, as the Bible suggests. Adam and Eve are Shiva and Shakti, masculine and feminine energy. It's the foundation of all, that's why I said before, it's the foundation of all religions. Just the stories have changed and become distorted, and people have forgotten the real meaning behind it. Fall from paradise is when there is no harmony between Shiva and Shakti or Adam and Eve anymore. The condition when you are with your consciousness in the crown chakra, that condition is paradise, heaven. The condition when you are disturbed, there's no harmony between Shiva and Shakti anymore, and thus energy plunges down, that is called hell. So heaven and hell are not places where you go after you die. Many people believe that if you behave bad during this life, you go to hell after you die. And if you behave well, then you might go to heaven, paradise, after you die. What people don't realize is that 99% of the world population is in fact in a condition that is what we call hell in the religious scriptures, because we are suffering, because we are not in harmony. And it is because of this that people who practice yoga correctly really start to appreciate yoga, start to fall in love with yoga, become addicted to yoga, because you like that condition. That is why we call it heaven or paradise. And you get a taste of that. And you know that it is your yoga practice that leads to that. And there is your motivation to do it again tomorrow, even when you're a little bit lazy. That nice feeling, sattva, is what we call paradise or heaven. And it occurs when consciousness is in the crown chakra. Nice, huh? So this is how it works. And the practical part of yoga is the framework, the ladder that you use to climb up into heaven. Stairway to Heaven. Very famous song for Led Zeppelin. Stairway to Heaven. 7 Up. Chill song. Cider. In Europe and America, that drink is called 7 Up. It's a marketing strategy to make you believe that if you drink that drink, you will experience a condition called seventh heaven or the crown chakra. Of course, that doesn't happen because that drink is full of sugar and other chemicals, so it actually makes you crash. So it's a smart marketing strategy. But these expressions are based on this. Seventh heaven. Chill song cider. Chill means 7, right? What is song? Star. 7 star. Okay. So in Korea, 7 Up is called chill song cider. 복잡하죠? Complicated. It's not so important. You don't have to memorize this. Its symbolism. What is important for our preparation for energy control is that you understand there are 2 energies, Shiva and Shakti. Shiva flows from the top to the bottom. Shakti flows from the bottom to the top. If they are relatively harmonious, harmony occurs, a third energy channel opens up, allowing energy to rise up and awaken qualities in you. Higher qualities or royal qualities. The reality is there are not only 2 channels. If if you have studied a bit of Oriental medicine, you know that there are at least 72,000 energy channels. That is not so important, and thinking about that would make it even more complicated. When we start energy control, pranayama, the most important to know is that Shakti energy rises from the bottom to the top, and Shiva energy from the top to the bottom. And they cannot reverse. Shiva energy cannot go from the bottom up. Shakti energy cannot go from the top down. Kundalini energy is Shakti energy, but it's Shakti energy with a special quality. That is why we call it Prana. That is why we call it Ki or Chi energy. It's the energy that creates life, consciousness, light, awakening. Questions? At the end of the handout, one more thing that's important. I explained at the hand of the yin-yang model with the dark eye and the light eye. I explained already a little bit why Shiva energy is feminine energy, while represented by a male god. So it seems contradicting what you see on the surface. Shakti energy is masculine but represented by a female, by a goddess. This is one of the things that will distinguish you from other yoga teachers. This is what initiation really is about. That is knowing the secrets of yoga, which I drop at your doorstep once in a while. And this is one of them. Because most yoga teachers will tell you Shiva energy is the masculine variant because it's a male god. That is just the simple way they think. Well, we already know from the yin-yang model, the dark side has a white eye because it has also characteristics of the other, and vice versa. In a practical sense, and that is why it is important that we mention this, because that story, The Secret of Seduction, I called it, Ajita called it, it reflects how we function as human beings. And it vividly, dynamically reflects the nature of energy. Energy is not rigid. Energy is very dynamic. And thus, because you exist out of energy, a human being is very dynamic. The secret of seduction is that symbolically, Lord Shiva, the Lord of Dance, when he wants attention from his wife, Shakti, he doesn't bully her or demands or orders. He goes in front of her and dances, which means he takes on the characteristic of the person he wants to attract. Instead of portraying very masculine characteristics, he is a male. He seduces Shakti by portraying feminine characteristics, by dancing in front of her. In real life, there are many different kinds of people with many different kinds of characteristics. If you are very feminine as a woman, you will feel attracted to a man who is very masculine. Can you see the logic there? Because together you make harmony. Likewise, if as a woman you are very masculine, you feel attracted to a man who is very feminine. And everything in between. If you understand this, from now on, when you see people together, observe. You will see. You will see the balance in masculinity and femininity, regardless of whether they are man or woman. You will be able to recognize when the man is more feminine and the woman is more masculine. Also with same-sex couples, with gay people, you will be able to see who fulfills the masculine role and who fulfills the feminine role. Because that's how we function. That is the secret of seduction. So if you see somebody of interest who you would like to connect with, if you want to do it in a harmonious way, you need to figure out where they stand in terms of their masculinity and femininity and act accordingly. Instead of forcing or manipulating or any other way that is not harmonious, you try to come to the same wavelength as that person of interest, and naturally chemistry will occur. You will see that people who are very skillful at seduction, womanizers or manizers, I don't know if that's a word even that exists, seducers, people who are very skillful at seducing, they're often subconsciously very skillful at doing just this. They smear honey around your lips, so to speak. They say something that caresses your ego. They say something that's very obvious for you that you like to hear. They're very skillful. Nunchi bonengo, the Korean word for nunchi bayo. That is intuitively understanding the essence of the person that you're looking at. And if needed, acting accordingly. Of course, nunchi bonengo is very complex, not as simple as I describe it here, but that is part of nunchi bonengo, is having a very sharp intellect and intuition. Understand the person you're dealing with, and instead of creating disharmony and forcing your way through to get to your goal, be very skillful, diplomatic, persuade people. I'm not so good at those kind of things. I have other qualities. Remember this. Shiva, Shakti, the secret of seduction. And never ever let anybody tell you anymore that Shakti is feminine energy and Shiva is masculine energy. But also, do not fight with people who do not agree with you. Because you know, but they are ignorant, while thinking that they do know, because it's logical, isn't it? Which they think is logical. But in philosophy, not only yoga, but in philosophy, everything has a certain depth. Nothing is two-dimensional. There's always something under the surface. And here you have it. Here you have an example of that. This is something you should not forget. You don't have to be perfect in your triangle pose or your shoulder stand. This is more crucial. Okay? Questions? Let's have a short break.